having them host it.
Correct.
Okay. All right,
Yes,
that's-
there is no, see, the statutes, the MCLs require us to keep these documents basically forever. So, we have them in hard copy, and we also have them scanned in on our servers.
Okay.
Some of the stuff is put onto the website, but it's very, very difficult to search. It's just, and this seems to be a system that works well.
Yeah, that's, my concern was just that they would delete our data if we didn't pay. That's a reasonable. And I would start to look at, this is a future thing, that I would start to look at the idea that we don't need to keep hard copies if we have it backed up electronically.
But we,
It's part of documentation law now. So we are protected in that way, but.
I know.
This is where we, have two servers and they back each other up, that's the point of that, but yeah.
And Bill could talk to that more than I could, but I just don't feel comfortable, and the next clerk may feel completely different. It's totally up to them. The MCL says thou shalt keep these, and I can foresee it's, for instance, you got a floppy drive anywhere in your house?
I do.
You do.
I found one recently.
Oh, really?
I laughed. I'm like, what are we supposed to do with this?
What do we do with this? And I don't, and yet, at the time when we were buying everything and recording everything on floppy drives, they'll never go out. They'll never go out. And they're gone. CDs are the thing. Well, CDs, we don't even listen to music on them anymore. And they're gone. So I am not comfortable, as long as we can afford and have room for the storage of paper documents, I would prefer to keep them. And like I said, the next clerk can just say,
right.
I don't know.
So who has access to the documents?
The public will have access to them, yes. They're all public documents. Right now, many of them, they have to come into the office to look at them. And even the ones that we do have online are very difficult, if not impossible, to search. This is a resident service.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm confused. It says it's going to cover 80,000 pages. I'm sorry, it's the attorney review. But their attachment A is only talking about 3,000 documents.
Well, he reviewed a contract that included the scanning that we are doing and have done in-house. The scanning is very nearly done right now.
Okay, so the proposal here is
Just
the
deletes.
$1,500 setup and annual hosting for a year.
That includes the annual hosting for a year, yes.
Correct. 1,500, which is the setup and hosting for a year.
Yeah.
Okay. And who will be involved in creating the folder structure?
Right now, Donna and Elena are creating the folder structure based on years, is it not? Years? So if I needed to look in, for instance, minutes for 2023, I could look through the minutes of basically any of the committees that have submitted minutes to us and look up what they did for keeping of animals or whatever the topic. You can do search words, you can do phrases.
And so as a resident, I'm sorry, I'm just asking how this is going to work, but have to ask for access?
No.
Use your password?
No. Anybody can read it, and that happens, anybody in the township, anybody in the
They're
states.
setting up a user login
Anyone on the
portal.
internet.
You
Yes,
just go to the
anyone who has an
website.
internet, they-
Anyone on the
There'll be
internet.
like a button there.
Yeah, we'll have a portal where we can add things to it, but that would require probably,
There is two separate parts. There's one part that is, it's just open to the public, and there's another part that's Reba to put her documents on that, you know, does have information
Non-searchable.
in that, but that's, it's that big code system. So there's kind of two systems.
Okay, so number one is public, number three is private.
Now, really, our goal is number one. Whether we end up doing the private one or not is the goal is to get number one. So you can go on and type in chicken and find every document this is chicken.
yes,
Which is a good risk mitigator for us because we don't miss anything in a FOIA request.
Right.
that's,
And it also makes it easier to respond, because a lot of that, you know,
You could just use the thing yourself, yeah.
say, Linda's on that. Okay.
and I just don't think the residents, I hope that the residents will feel there's more transparency. All of our policies will be out there, you know, all of our ordinances, everything that we keep in paper will be out there then for them to search and go through.
Are we ready?
We are.
All right, so I'll move that we accept the documents on the bank contract as presented.
I will second. Other discussion? Okay, this is the contract, Shelley.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, the next thing is roadside cleanup date. So 145, the plan is for Saturday, April 25th, 2026.
What do we have to do?
We need a motion
Just get a
to set
motion to
it.
pick the date.
Okay, I'll move that we have roadside cleanup on Saturday, 25 April 2026.
Support.
Okay, discussion. Okay, balance and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, FAR. So, please. You explained it to me, so.
Yeah, so the FAR was really a simple change, and you guys can see on page 148, this is literally all it was. If you look at R1, for some reason, R1 had a 30% for non-conforming lots less than 1 acre, and we changed it back to 20 after a lot of discussion, just for uniformity.
Yeah, this is the one Kay recommended that we send it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we did. Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with all this.
All right, so, who would like to move?
I'll move.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, further discussion?
The only thing I'd like to say is, we've got a backlog of planning commission
Yes.
amendments that we need to get done. Like, there's a lot of them. So, they've been submitted, some of them have been out there for a year. I think we really need to move on.
They're waiting on it. They're waiting
They're
on
waiting
it.
on the-
Yeah, okay.
Sheree and I were, so she's got a, you know, kind of a timeline wish list. And
Right.
So I talked to her a little bit today about, we'll put something in April. I mean, I know we still the road thing, but.
Right, I mean, a lot of them
We
are.
started talking about something.
There's a lot of them that are like this, that are
Yeah.
just, it's a, pretty much a text change,
Right.
small
Okay.
text change. There's no reason they should be sitting out.
Okay. All right, so, let's see, any other discussion, please? So this will be,
Does this change create any new non-conformities?
no, it would relieve something if there wasn't.
No, it's already non-conforming. It was on non-conforming lots, they're already non-conforming, so it wouldn't matter.
I just wanted to ask if we're creating any new genetics.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay. Roll call, please. Jeff?
Aye.
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 So, okay, so discussion.
Could ask Rick, he could have
Hey.
typed it in.
I literally went with
This
this.
is right.
Yeah, so if we do this, it looks like if we do this, we're in for half of the Black River Read, which could be like 400 to 500.
We're on 153. And
Yeah, they're looking for a timeline when they're going to start applying for grants. Now, all of them are, my quick read through it was, they're all like 50% match types, and they're going to apply for things that are like 300 to 500,000.
so it does look to me like, at least number one, we have to approve the plan we came up with. I can put that in April.
Because we haven't even seen it, have we?
I don't think we've actually seen it. So,
Yeah, they say their potential timeline is the first DNR submittal. I thought this was pretty comprehensive, all the stuff they did here. I think the biggest question for the board is, it's a $500,000 ask that is going to show up, I think maybe 27 or 28 budgets.
well, we definitely have to approve of an amendment.
Well, they want, I thought they were looking for guidance on what is the board willing to commit?
So 161 looks like they're getting us what we'd asked for maintenance. That looks like maintenance. Which is something they did not give us before. They have not seen this plan. If I try to set up with Brian, having him present something first in April, and then we can figure out where to go from there.
Yeah, we can. I mean, I remember this, we talked to them a bunch about this, but I think the biggest question is going to get back to, if we say okay, we're indirectly committing to potentially a $500K bill in the next year and a half, 2 years. If you start looking at our budgets now, you know, the point John was making, we already have, we know the Walsh Road bridge is coming, which we have the money in CIP, but we don't have another 500 sitting there now.
Well, it wouldn't be, let's see, so they go through the grant cycle the end of this year. It wouldn't be in this coming up year's budget. It would be next, it wouldn't be the budget we just passed. It would be the next one.
Yeah, right, and they did a good job here. There's a Gantt chart in the back that lays that out.
I just want to raise a point. There's been very low response rate to surveys that have been conducted. So we're potentially facing some significant dollars to an activity, if you will, that not sure. I mean, people have provided responses that are very excited about it, but I don't know if it's truly necessary. I mean, we have a lot of parks around us.
So this has been a very good point. I'm getting mixed signals from the members on the park committee themselves. They're not all on board with the plan we have right now, for the same kind of reasons that Dan was saying. I do think, honestly, I think they needed to tell us if they don't agree with. So the reason we started, or I started it this way, is because you guys approved. This is our plan. So I continued along with the initial plan. But John had, for example, John has suggested some, because we're still one person down. This gentleman who had worked at Independence Lake for a number of years, worked at Durham Metro Park for a number of years. He had great experience. I reached out to him. I said, hey, would you like to do this? And he basically said, no, I don't want to do that because I don't believe in it, because we have Independence Lake and we have the Metro Park. So That, I think, is what the number 3 is.
Yeah, this,
Right, 3, like, I think they want us to tell them whether we want to keep doing this.
well,
That's the big deal. I mean, they are giving us the info that we asked for, but.
the billing period, so it's in our Gantt chart, which started at the end of 2028. But that's the commitment. And I like the idea of a park, but given the other challenges we have financially right now, I'm a big concerned about what's going on with the fire department. That's the next item. Now, we have pavement coming up, and right now, we're gonna start budget bumping up against what our budget is.
There will be a roof.
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of parks and, excuse me, and any sort of activity that gets people out and interacting with the environment and getting exercise, absolutely. You can do that here now if you want to. It's not a gravel path, but, it's not ADA.
If it's mowed.
But you could go out and mess around, play ball, frisbee, hit golf balls that someone does. And I also am very supportive of prairie habitats, and, that'd be wonderful.
On right now.
I just think we have to really give this some consideration,
Yes.
given the input is from a very limited number of people in the community.
Yeah, that's the point I'm getting at. So it's an ask for 500,000 in 2028. And I don't see us having a plan for that. It seems like it's a challenge, and I agree with what you guys have said.
So and again, open to anything, how would you like to proceed to figure out if this is still what we want, or do you want? Right now, so let me, I'll just say it, because when I asked about, and Tony brought this up before, so Tom Heller is not gonna mow, because he's kind of semi-retired, so he's gonna mow around the building, and then that part is gonna grow up for this next year, this next summer, while we figure out what to do. I will have him mow a couple, like paths in the, so we'll get, we won't be mowing every week like we did this last year. It'll save us some money. And it does just leave us open to whatever option we want to do back there in the future. Like either, if we don't want to do the park, we want to bring it out for hay, we can, so.
Yeah, I think it's later. I mean, given all the things we just talked about, somewhere in 2030 and beyond, after we get some of these other big expenses handled, is something I think this could stay on the list. But I don't think they have to spool up and start going crazy on grants here in the next 6 months.
Well, and the one thing, so they did the master plan, which we, again, we still see, it's for 5 years. So if we approve it, we don't have to do anything right now. And it will, if it's in a couple of years, we know better, we can go for grants either after, or, it's really, I'm kind of at a loss with the park, really. I really am.
I love the idea of it. But all the other big expenses we just have coming up, I think cycle ahead.
I think that we've mentioned a couple times that we just need to have a meeting, or add to our meeting, the list of ongoing, or things that are coming up that are gonna be expensive, because I think about the software for our financial piece of the puzzle too, that we might have to change. There's a lot of expensive things coming up, and if we could identify what year we think we're gonna need to use these in, that's gonna help us identify where this goes in that puzzle, and explain to the park committee why it's that way. Some of these costs are gonna be unexpected. There's some that we're not gonna have control over too, depending on.
Well, yeah, all that could be part of our next budgeting process. Before we levy the next millage, we should talk about all the budget again on some of these big ticket items and see, and that'll inform what our millage strategy is. Also.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have them give okay, so for April, we can put in an agenda item for us to start talking about the priorities and how much and when we think it's going to happen. And then also I will have them present us with the park master plan, and then we can decide whether we want to approve that now, and then even if we don't do anything this year or next year, whatever. So if that's okay with everyone, we'll leave it at that for now.
And if I may,
Yeah.
I don't
I go back.
Knows the amount of money.
Yeah, it's very, very expensive to have them mow. And just say go back to prairie.
Don't kids use it for, I thought baseball teams and stuff used it.
They don't anymore.
Oh, okay.
We'll go back.
Morningstar uses it for soccer over here when the weather's nice, but that's the only thing I'm
Didn't
aware of.
they do
It
some?
will, if it's not maintained, you'll have bottom olive and
Oh, I'm sorry.
buckthorn and other invasives. It will not go to.
Yeah, no, you're right, and I really didn't say it that way. It won't be mowed every week. I was thinking like twice
Twice a year.
over, you know,
Yes,
mow the
well,
rest.
you're right.
Every, you know,
Brush off.
right.
Keep down.
You're right. I mean, you know, having to do hay fields, you're totally right. So, okay. All right, and we'll bring this back next. All right. Fire department.
Where are we?
I'm leaving this one to my brain.
So I wanted just to, I guess, provide a slight update and also check in. As you know, we're in discussions, negotiations with the city and Webster Township related to the interlocal. And high level, the city wants to reduce their share of the expenses running the operation, and the township is in a similar mindset, not as aggressive, I think, as the city. So my understanding of our position is that we like the run allocation methodology. Don't really see a valid, strong rationale for us to increase our costs, at least based on the run allocation that's been, how it's played out the last number of years. So with that, I think we also need to be mindful and work with our neighboring, our participants to try and find some solution that is fair. And my mindset, the most fair way, maybe you call for service, you pay for service. But we're needing to provide some sort of adjustment to that. So what we have put forth with our strategy committee here, we talked about this a little bit the other previous meeting, but would be to introduce and advocate for a rolling average of the run, actual runs, so that at least it smooths out the highs and lows a little bit that we all may experience. That's fairly easy to do. You just have to pick what time period and then start moving forward with it. And then the other item that we think would make sense and is fair is to allocate the shared runs. That's mutual aid, that's runs to the schools, runs that go to or service at the fire stations themselves, installation of smoke alarms, CPR training, public education. Those are types of examples of that. That those also be shared equally. And the difference is that right now, they are allocated based on whatever the run allocation is. So if we're have a high percentage that year, we're going to pay a higher percentage, whatever that percentage is, of those shared runs. So that's something that, well, it's not huge dollars. It is something that is fair and at least changes the game a little bit. And I guess that's where we feel that we can do those things and not dramatically impact the budget to Webster, which has been on lower run, fortunately. We'd like to have fewer runs, because that means we're not meeting emergency services. So at any rate, Those are some two concepts that we thought we just put forth, see if there are questions related to that, if there's support for doing that. That would, if there is support, that would give us a little stronger position for our next meeting next week. Be able to say to the board, conceptually is behind us on that. I don't think we need a formal vote, but at least to hear the consensus or opposition to that would be beneficial for us.
And obviously I agree with everything Dan just said. The other thing I guess I would add, so the other two things we talked about the lease, you know, and then the other one was, and Sean brought this up, was should we have a, you know, an amount that the fire department can ask for as an increase with kind of a, it's kind of more of a soft cap, I guess, with, let's just say we say 5%, you're good to go. If it's over 5%, anything over 5%, you got to come to each board, and we all have to approve anything over 5%. Now, we can pick whatever percent we'd like. Sean would like that as a measure, and I don't disagree. John Kingsley said it was, he doesn't disagree really either, but as a kind of a, I don't know, give it a little more control over the spending part of it. So, also, I guess want to know how you think about that kind of idea. And then John,
If I could just add a little more color to that. The fire department has experienced significant cost increases, which is primarily a result of hiring firefighters to staff stations and all of the associated expenses related to that. That is what has primarily driven those cost increases, which, and as well as with apparatus, because we're trying to catch up, frankly, having old apparatus. So that really the level of firefighters should level off now. You'll still have increases based on how the contract, union contract negotiations go, but it won't be you're adding three firefighters the last couple of years. So that component,
right,
I don't think is really a huge deal. Now, frankly, each of the municipalities have appointed people to serve and represent them, and if they're not, communicating sufficiently or well enough with their own entities, then that's a drawback on them. But so I don't think that's a huge cap on expenditures in the near field.
yeah, I know for me personally, if we're going to do it, we should make it, I mean, pretty generous. Do we really want to come here every year and go, all right, 5%, we are good. Because they don't normally ask for stuff they haven't been needing. So I do totally agree with, we look at, so Sean's looking at the increases per year, 10, 12, 13. He's not looking at the why, which is what Dan's saying. There's a why, which means the increases should not be as big anyway, because of the staffing and the equipment and that kind of thing. John, so we need to know, first of all, there's some, so John, the list that Dan just talked about what it costs, what it counts, John has written down, which we can.
I left something at everybody's table about shared runs. This is written by the chief within the last 24 hours. The two things I would say about this, which I find interesting, one is the interlocal agreement only talks about runs and mutual aid runs. There is nothing in the interlocal agreement about shared runs. That's something that has evolved informally over time. And so shared runs is about a quarter mutual aid runs. And shared runs is about a quarter of all the runs.
Oh, so mutual aid is a quarter of the shared.
Yeah. Right. About 1/4 of all runs are shared runs, And about 1/4 of the shared runs are mutual aid runs. That's where we go to another area outside of our service area. And then the chief sent a follow-up email that basically said that public education was the other biggest category of shared runs.
I'm sorry, guys, I noticed there was.
Yeah, there's a list of 7 items.
Yeah, I got it. Mine's lost.
So to put it in perspective, we did want a fire authority. God, they're pushing it so hard. And I know, so I told her that. But the other thing is, so when Dan had brought the 50% readiness, 30, and then 50% based on runs, we said no. This would be, let's just say we go for all the shared runs should be 30, everything by the time it's listed. That would be 25%, which means it would be half of what we would be paying if we did not with what Dan had originally proposed. And then if we did, mutual aid runs only, it would be, 25%. So,
I guess what they're asking is, what is our appetite for increasing our cost in the olive branch nature of fairness and goodwill?
Yeah, what's the number? I mean, how much?
Well, when we did the 50-50 model for 1 year, it was $100 grand against us. And if we do this, it'd be like 50 grand against us. If you did all the shared runs.
and
If you decided to just do mutual aid and public education, it would be less than that. I mean,
The first one's easy. I mean, the rolling average, I talked to Kingsley John a couple weeks ago, and we talked about that. I thought that was reasonable compared to some of the other formulas that were coming up. On this mutual aid topic, so what's the argument for us to do it? Is it purely a goodwill gesture that we're in?
right, so mutual aid, again, this was a little, you guys are smarter than some of the people I try to explain this to. So right now, let's just say they have to go to A&W. We all have to go to A&W. That is outside of all this inside, right? So right now, instead of us all paying 1/3 of that run, we take the percentage, the normal percentage, what they do is they take all those runs out of the way. Then they figure out of the other runs, what percentage is attributed to us, what percentage is, so right, that kind of thing. So that gives us the percentage. So this year it's 37% for the city, or 28 or something. But then they take all those mutual aid runs and put them back in, and so Dexter is now paying 37% of a run to A&W, and we're paying 28. And that's not, I mean, personally, I don't think that's fair. Because it's it's all of us at that point. It's not one of us picking out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a better example is probably if you're going to school,
Yeah.
where, it's a child from anywhere within the school. I mean, it actually could be somewhere outside of all of our service areas, but, so from that standpoint, why shouldn't it be split equally? So that's, a question of fairness that seems to make sense.
And
So are we okay with all these shared line items?
No, I was gonna bring that up. So, I mean, some of the things that are on the shared item list, so CPR, AED, first aid instruction, where are they doing it? And who's benefiting from that?
they scheduled,
I got it. They did it here. I took it.
So they did it, I mean, if they're going around to the different municipalities and doing it, I think that's fine.
yes, they are.
I wonder if there was 2 runs.
Well, I wasn't able to, there was one session with several people, I think. I wasn't gonna make that one, but I got a solo, private construction.
Was that a run?
You want me-
Well-
I'll pay for it.
Well,
And they are gonna do one of these sort of.
so those, I mean, my question with those are, most of the time when there's CPR, AED, first aid, it's charged out. I mean, if you went through Red Cross or first aid, whatnot, they charge for the classes for those. So I don't know why they don't charge, like if they're gonna be doing something, for a business or a school, or, I mean, a school's, but those kind of things. I agree if it's a run to a school for a thing, that's different than training, or public education, and parades. We don't have parades here.
Yes, we do. Oh, not in Webster.
Not
Webster
here,
does.
I mean, that's Dexter.
But that-
I mean,
we
the
all go
bottom
to
line
those.
is, that's a flat out Dexter
You
thing.
think nobody from Webster is going to the Memorial
They
Day
do, because all the kids
No, I
are in
know.
those parades.
Well, the one thing we were looking at, John, or.
I know our police officers
So
probably
some of
there.
the, if I may, some of the things on that 7-point list
Yeah.
are insignificant.
Yeah, they probably,
There's
that's
what,
probably a
2
thing.
parades a year, maybe 3, who cares?
So in principle, I do it.
But how many shared calls does
But,
it have?
and the other thing, like, I don't think that everybody should pay equal share for smoke detector installations, but it's probably such a small number of the runs, it doesn't matter.
Well, I don't know that. This doesn't tell me what
No,
the
I'll
numbers
get
are.
I'll get more refinement.
Okay, wait,
I don't
get.
And just to provide, I'm sorry, Jeff, but just on
That's okay.
parade and community events, so coming to the Webster Fall Festival, being aware of the motorcycle trials and fireworks show over here, those are things that they are, they put on their calendar and say, okay, they may not physically go to those, smaller things, but here, they're here, and other events that are held. Now, that occurs, throughout the territory. So it's not just the parades.
Okay, well,
Well, if some version of this is okay, we can start with that, right? If we go with, all right, we're all good with the actual mutual aid rights, 30-30-30. That is a position that is not a 0.
no, I think everything that you guys have talked about
Okay.
is good. I just had those questions.
No, I totally.
These kind of things, so, I mean, specifically the training kind of stuff, because that is something that normally is charged for, those kind of services, that's.
Yeah, I'd like to maybe see an example from this past year. If we use this, what would the bill difference be, or however you want to come up with a number?
Okay.
And on the shared calls, if it is insignificant, fine, but it starts to be a real needle mover on some of them. But I think the idea is, I'm willing to talk about it. I think the
Yeah.
message.
That's good. I mean, and to be honest, I'll just put it out there, we talked about it when we were in the meeting with the city and the township. The township is far more reasonable, and it's reasonable. We brought this up and it's almost like they just ignored us. We can do this, we can do the smoothing out, okay, maybe we'll go with the, whatever, 5%, and then we have to ask for it. I don't know how this is gonna come out, but at least now we have a position to start with, so that is good. I mean, and we don't have,
I think that the strongest tactic for us to take is to put a written proposal of the new interlocal agreement that you can lay on the table and say, the Webster board supports this.
Yeah, I think it's basically what we have now, with averaging, and I'm willing to talk about mutual aid and shared.
So there's some other minor points about, the term of service of the at-large member and whether or not you want to mandate fire hydrants or fire code.
Right.
There are some other things that are not insignificant, that they're not necessarily financial per se, but.
well, we do have, because Dan has done the beautiful editing, and then John did it, we have something, actually, I can just send out when we, decide whatever, change accepted or whatever, so you can see.
So, when Mike talks,
Or you don't think we're ready for that?
No.
Okay, well, that's fine. I mean, if we're gonna talk about that.
I mean, the expectation is we come back with something.
Yeah.
But to do that and have a board vote on it, that needs to occur at a prior, in a.
Oh, I was more thinking like just to show, because I don't think they've actually seen the interlocal agreement, right? You haven't seen those like that.
Oh, you're talking about showing that to.
Yeah,
Of course,
us,
yes.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what, sure, yes,
I
okay.
thought you meant for next week.
No, I mean, just, yes, we will get you the what we worked on, and then a cleaner copy than what we're doing.
And Mike Tony had a question.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just questioning number 6, residential smoke detectors or carbon monoxide alarm installation. What does that encompass?
They will put in anywhere in the 74-mile service area, smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors in your house at no charge. They'll come to your house and come in and get on the ladder and install them. But I have a friend, Dan Chapman, lives in Webster Township, and when they went to his house to do that, they came in a full fire truck, and everyone thought Dan's house was in trouble or Dan was having an attack.
That's their car.
Yeah, they have to do that. They go grocery shopping.
So be prepared. You get a free fire smoke detector, but all your neighbors are gonna wonder, what the hell's going on at your house?
Okay, well, thank you very much. I think we
I have
did.
one more question.
Go for it.
So, or two things. John, you don't have to do that if it's insignificant. I didn't know. Secondly, the 5% you're talking about, what does that equate to in dollars?
That's a
I
good
mean, what is
question.
the potential for that? What does that mean?
That gives me heartburn personally,
Yeah.
because you're trying to put a cap on something that you actually don't have control over. The wages are by a union contract, and the apparatus is what it costs, and you have to order them a year in advance. So, a lot of this stuff is outside of the control of the fire department.
And I mean, I'm
That simply means that the chief and the various representatives need to make a case to their board or council that that's the reason, and vote yes. It's an extra step.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
think
think
just
it's
a
necessary,
blanket
but-
thing for 5%.
It's $60,000 per unit based on what we're paying now if we're talking about their gross budget. That's a lot. So that'd be $180,000 just off the top of my head that he could spend, he meaning the fire chief could
Yeah.
spend and not consult anybody.
That's what I'm
Well,
concerned about.
it doesn't work quite like that. There is
Okay,
a
well,
spending plan that is
enlighten me.
approved. There's a spending plan that's put forth, and much like we go through budgeting process here, that shows all the line items and comes with a sum. And there's pushback on items, and then that's voted on. So that occurs within the DAFE board.
Mhm.
And then whatever that sum is based on however the run allocation funding model is, which currently is purely runs. So in the future, it will potentially be different than that.
Okay.
So it's not, the chief can't just say, well, I'm going to spend money. He has to get the spending plan approved by the board.
Okay, so but what does that mean when he could do 5% without consulting anyone?
It's the spending plan budget.
Okay,
So
5%
from one year to the next,
that
if
budget.
the ask that the DAFE board says, yeah, that makes sense, let's put that forward. If the ask is greater than, whether it's 5, 10%, greater than that, then each board needs to approve that individually. And again, based on the current method, all three would need to approve it for it to move forward. Now, maybe that would change too, I don't know.
So, I wasn't here. The $1 million fire truck they just bought was approved by the three boards, the three, like the city council and
No.
the,
It
no?
would have only been approved by the DAFE administrative board, which is composed of members from each municipality plus an ad hoc.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but what you're telling me is that the $1 million fire truck, they decide, they, meaning the board, that we have representatives on, but they, on their own, decided we need $1 million fire truck, and then that cost was divided based on whatever the formula is. Now it's runs. Correct. And we, the board here, had no say over it.
Correct. That's what, and that's really what Sean is saying. He has no say over it, and he wants the say.
Other than,
I mean,
he.
well, I mean, he's on the
Being
board,
a
I know.
representative on the board is, like I said, you know.
He gets a vote.
He gets a vote, but,
Personally gets a vote.
but 5 of us don't get a vote.
Well, we do through proxy.
Yeah.
Through proxy, but, yeah, it's whatever they feel without coming back to this board to determine how the board, who supposedly represents the residents, feel about that expenditure. They make it on their own. They make the decision. Okay, I just need to understand. I don't know that that's a bad way, a good way, or what. I'm just trying to figure out how this works.
Similar to the road commission.
Yeah.
There's some real wild cards, and the one that launched me is the pension and the OPEB liabilities, which are many millions of dollars. And some leprechaun in the magical forest makes an estimate once a year that affects what our liability is, and this number changes wildly. I'm
And
being
actually-
facetious, but we have no control over that.
No.
But it affects how much we have to spend
And one
as a
year you
fire.
could be fully funded, and the next year you could be in deficit
Yeah.
for the OPEBs. Yeah, I know.
And those kind of things make me think that an artificial ceiling is it's just, time and time again, I've seen politicians try to control market forces by passing things, but market forces don't care what we pass.
The jeopardy we were thinking, Tony, though, is that all of a sudden you have 3 municipalities that are never going to agree. And then, right? So then it's gridlock.
And the fire board, like this board, has a deadline by which they have to pass the budget. We can't wait for 3 other boards to decide.
I get it. So this was in there because it was one of the city's requests. All right, I will send our version to all guys, and then at least we have something. What's your, yeah, what's your board gonna agree to? So now we have a start. Okay, so thank you very much for all that. We definitely needed some help. So we're now at correspondence.
What do we have in our transcripts? Oh, no.
Just bills.
The cleanup days, these are the Washington on cleanup days, which I think that these are wonderful things to send out in our newsletter and our email
Just
blast.
put it up on the website.
And put it on the website. Yeah, this is excellent.
And then, of course, we have our attorney's bills that we had received a press time.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, plus.
Call the public.
Good evening, just a couple quick comments. Actually, just this evening, had a couple people in passing, Jerry and Connie both mentioned that leaving the meetings, even right now, well, it's really dark out, it'd be really nice to have the lights up in the parking lot. Jerry was going out there with his walker and grumbling about, God, why don't they have lights on? I can't see a damn thing out here. That should probably be, it's gotta be able to be handled easily. Just flipping a switch or changing the timer on them so that people have lights when they're leaving this building. Second, for the upcoming roadside cleanup day, I've participated in it for years and years. What I don't see is any kind of participation from the township board on that day up here at the collection site. I know I've made the comment before, it'd be really nice if there were donuts or pizza or someone out there grilling hot dogs or something, just to say thanks for bringing up a bag of trash and helping keep the township clean. It's nice to have the dumpster here, it's nice to have bags available, but just a nice thank you to residents who actually participate in that would be really nice. Thank you.
Thank you. So concerns with board members. First, I just want to address Peter's thing. As we know, we're gonna walk out there in the dark. We actually do have, we purchased and installed a, what do you call it, photo sensor. So the lights are supposed to be on all the time, and the photo sensor turns them off during the daytime. It worked fine until tonight for some reason. So yes, tomorrow I will get on trying to fix it.
The last time I left here at night.
Was tomorrow? Was it now or tomorrow? Yesterday?
No, it was, I left really late at night, another night. I couldn't even see my car. It was really dark.
Yes, we are trying to, I mean, we really are. There's, yeah. We will continue. So, okay, anything else? All right, can I get an motion to adjourn?
Second.